Chapter 6. On Wednesday afternoon, I raced home from school and made a frantic search of the front yard for our copy of the Stony Brook News. I found it under a peony bush in the garden. I threw my things on the ground, sat down right in the middle of the yard, and leafed through the paper until I found the advertising section. And sure enough, the fifth ad from the bottom in the third column was ours. This is what it looked like. The Babysitters Club. Need a babysitter? Make one call. Reach 4 sitters. Call KL 53231. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5:30 to 6 o'clock. We had wanted to include more information in the ad, like the other phone numbers, but when we called the newspaper, we found out they charged you per line to run an ad. Our little ad was already pretty expensive, and we'd had to use our entire first week's club dues to pay for it. Still, the ad was awfully exciting. It was fun being in the newspaper. "Hey, Christy, what are you doing?" Claudia came running across our lawn, her knapsack jouncing against her back. "Look!" I exclaimed. "Here it is, our ad." "Ooh, let me see." Claudia dropped to her knees beside me, and I jabbed at the ad. "Oh, wow. Now, if we can just finish handing around those flyers today," she said, "we might actually get some calls on Friday." "I know!" I felt like squealing and jumping up and down. "Let's get Mary Ann to help us." "Okay," I said, "and Stacy." No, she's busy that afternoon. She told me so in school today." "What's she doing?" "Don't know. Come on, are you ready?" "Let me just put my books inside," I said, "and see if Kathy got here yet. She's babysitting for David Michael today." Kathy and David Michael were playing Candyland on the back porch, so I grabbed the last of the flyers from my desk and ran outside to Claudia. "My mom Xeroxed 5 more yesterday. That's all I have left," I said. "I've got 6 more." We found Mary Ann, who also had 6 left, and we took off on our bicycles for Quentin Court, which is a few streets away from Stacy's house. There we put the last of the flyers in mailboxes. "Done," I said to Claudia and Mary Ann. They grinned at me. "Now I guess we just sit back and wait for calls." Right. 2 days later, the members of the Babysitters Club gathered eagerly in Claudia's bedroom. Even though the flyers said for clients to call us between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, we all managed to show up early. I was the first person there. I knocked on Claudia's bedroom door, which now had an official-looking sign on it reading, "The Babysitters Club, hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5:30 to 6 o'clock." "Come in," called Claudia. It was only 4:30 when I entered her room, but I found her sitting cross-legged on the bed with the phone in her lap, one hand clutching the receiver. "The phone's not going to run away, you know," I greeted her. Claudia grinned sheepishly. "I know. I'm just so excited." Actually, I was too. "So am I squealed suddenly. I dashed across the room and jumped on her bed. "I've been waiting all week for today to come. What do you think will happen?" "Oh, this has just got to work. I know we'll have some customers. We'll have customers, won't we?" I grabbed the phone from Claudia and held it in my lap. A knock came at the door. It couldn't be a customer. Could it? Claudia and I glanced at each other. "It's probably Mary Ann," I said. "Oh, right," Claudia answered. "Come in." The door opened. It was Janine. My stomach dropped down around my knees. Janine cleared her throat. "Ahem," she said. "I've been studying your sign from out here in the hall, and I'm wondering if possibly you've made a mistake." I leaped up and ran over to the sign. I couldn't see a thing wrong with it. Babysitters was spelled correctly. Claudia had remembered the double T. She'd gotten all the abbreviations right, too. I put my hands on my hips. "What?" I asked. "Well," began Janine primly, "I'm not entirely sure that you have made a mistake. I'm trying to decide whether you need an apostrophe after the word babysitters. You see, without an apostrophe, the word is simply plural, meaning the club consisting of the several or many babysitters. The apostrophe after the S would make the word possessive, meaning the club belonging to the several or many babysitters. Now, either way could be right, but I'm not sure whether—" "Hello, everybody!" Stacy's voice rang up through the stairwell like the welcome sound of a boat's horn on a foggy night. "Saved," I said under my breath. "Hi, Stace!" Stacy ran up the stairs, and I spirited her into Claudia's bedroom and closed the door behind us, leaving Janine out in the hall, puzzling over the apostrophe mystery. Mary Ann arrived a few minutes later, luckily without running into Janine. It was 5:05. The 4 of us sat on Claudia's bed. Nobody said a word. At 5:10, Claudia got up, took a shoebox labeled sneakers out of her closet, opened it, and handed around some jawbreakers. As usual, Stacy refused. At 5:25, I began staring at my watch, following the minute hand around and around. 5:26, 5:27, 5:28, 5:29. At exactly 5:30, the phone rang. I screamed, "Oh no, I don't believe it," cried Marianne. Claudia spit out her jawbreaker. I'll answer it, she shrieked. She jerked up the receiver and said politely, "Good afternoon, Babysitters Club." Then she made a face and handed me the phone. "Christy, it's your mother." I spit out my jawbreaker too. "Mom," I exclaimed as soon as I got on the phone, "these are our business hours. You're not supposed to—" "What? You do?" "Oh." I calmed down. "Please hold for a moment." I put my hand over the receiver. "Mom needs a sitter for David Michael," I cried. "Kathy can't come next Wednesday." Ooh, everyone suppressed shrieks. "I've got our appointment book right here," said Claudia. "Now let's see. Marianne, you have to go to the dentist that day, and I have art class. That leaves you," Claudia pointed to me, "and Stacy." "What should we do?" "Just another sec, Mom," I said. I hadn't really thought about what to do if several of us were available for the same job. "Well," I began. "He's your brother," Stacy said. "You should get the job. But if you took it, you'd get to know some other people in the neighborhood. You'd probably meet Sam and Charlie. They're my big brothers." "Brothers?" Stacy's eyes lit up. "Boys. But what are you going to do while I babysit? Hang around and watch?" "Well, I hope I'll have another job," I said huffily. "You take the job, Stacy. I don't want my first Babysitters Club client to be my own mother." "Okay, if you're sure," Stacy said slowly. Then she grinned. "Thanks." "No problem," I said. I took my hand off of the receiver. "Mom, Stacy will babysit for David Michael on Wednesday. The usual time, right?" "Okay." "Hey, where are you calling from anyway?" "Oh, the office." Claudia elbowed me. "Quit tying up the line. Someone else might be trying to get through." I nodded. "Mom, I have to get off. I'll see you in a little while." "Okay." "Okay. Bye." I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Ooh, Claudia gave me a look that said, "I told you so." "Can I answer it?" Marianne asked. "Sure," I said. Marianne picked up the phone. "Good afternoon, Babysitters Club," she said. There was a long pause. "I think you have the wrong number. There's no Jim Bartolini here." She hung up. At 5:42, the phone rang for a third time. We all looked at each other. "You get it, Christy," Marianne said. "You're the president." "Okay." "Hello? Babysitters Club?" "Yes." "Yes. Just a moment, please." I put my hand over the mouthpiece. "Do any of you know a Mrs. McKeever? She lives on Quinton Court." The girls shook their heads. "What's she got?" asked Claudia. "2 kids, Buffy and Pinky," I replied. "Buffy and Pinky?" cried Stacy. "Buffy and Pinky?" "Shh," I warned her. "How old are they?" Marianne wanted to know. "I don't know. Hold on. Hello, Mrs. McKeever. We need a little information, please. How old are Buffy and Pinky?" Oh, okay." I turned back to the members of my club. "She says they're 3. They must be twins." "When does she need a sitter?" asked Marianne. "Wednesday afternoon." "Oh, I guess I'm the only one who's free then," I suddenly realized. I was dying for a new client anyway. I accepted the job and took the information down. Took down the information I needed. Then Mrs. McKeever asked me a zillion questions about myself. She wanted to know how old I was and how much experience I had and that sort of thing. When I hung up the phone, I said to Marianne, "Hey, secretary, you've got to record these jobs in the appointment book." "Oh, right." I handed her the book and she got right to work. The next 2 calls were for Jim Bartolini. Claudia was growing exasperated. "Boy, this is weird," she said. "I've gotten wrong numbers before, but no one's ever asked for Jim Bartolini. Certainly not 3 no ones." At 5:55, Marianne stood up. "I better get going," she said. She pulled on her sweater and crunched loudly on the remaining bit of her jawbreaker. The phone rang. Stacy answered it and handed it to me. "It's your mom again, Christy." I rolled my eyes. "Mom," I said, "did Kathy back out of her other afternoon too?" "Oh. Oh. Oh, no. Not me. I am not babysitting for them. You know how I feel." "Okay, but hold on. Watson needs a babysitter for his kids again on Saturday morning. Not tomorrow, but next Saturday." I told the others. "I'm not doing it." I'll do it, Marianne said. I'm getting curious about them. Aren't you curious, Christy? I was dying to see what kind of monsters Watson had. Not really, I said. Sign yourself up for the job. As Marianne was about to walk out of Claudia's room, the phone rang for the 7th time since 5:30. I'll get it, said Marianne. One last call. Hello? What? Marianne's braids practically stood on end. It's some boy on the phone, she told us. He says his name is Jim Bartolini. He wants to know if there have been any calls for him. You're kidding, exclaimed Claudia. Oh, wait a second, I said suddenly. I grabbed the phone from Marianne. Sam, is that you? No, said the voice on the other end of the phone. It's Jim Bartolini. I was wondering if... Sam, you're a rat, I cried. This is important business, and furthermore, I'm telling. I slammed the receiver down. The nerve, said Marianne. But Claudia and Stacy began giggling. I think that was sort of funny, said Claudia. You would, I retorted. Oh, come on. You have to admit that was a pretty good goof call. It's better than just, is your refrigerator running, or something like that. I guess, I said. So, the first Babysitters Club office hour, or office half hour, ended on a sour note, and the evening didn't improve much. I went home and did tell Mom what Sam had done. And Sam called me a rat, and I said, I know you are, but what am I? And Sam said, I know you are, but what am I? And I shouted, you're driving me crazy! And Sam shouted, you're driving me crazy! And Mom told Sam he couldn't use the phone for an hour and sent me to my room, which suited me fine, since Watson was on his way over. Shortly before Mom and Watson left on another date, I was allowed to leave my room to take a phone call. It was Claudia. I just got a job, she said. Mrs. Newton called. She needed a sitter for tomorrow, so I took the job. Mrs. Newton? That's great, Claude, I said. But I hung up the phone feeling pretty low. I usually sit for Jamie. Claudia should have told the other club members when a job was offered, not just taken it herself. Just because the main number was hers didn't mean she got first crack at every job that came along. And how come Mrs. Newton had called that number after 6, when she was probably trying to reach me? I guessed people didn't pay much attention to hours and phone numbers, which was a shame considering all the trouble we'd gone to with our flyers and the newspaper ad. I flashed the news to Marianne at 9 o'clock, and she flashed back, too bad. Well, I thought as I went to bed that night with Louie curled at my feet, at least I've got a new client. On Wednesday, I'll get to meet Pinky and Buffy McKeever. New clients are always interesting. If only I'd had some idea just how interesting they were going to be.